The 330H kit comprises the tool shaft and handle, the texturing cutter we were using earlier, and 3 sizes of spiraling cutters. These are referred to as being 2, 4 and 6 mm. This simply denotes the size of the spacing between the teeth on the wheel in millimetres. This shot also shows 2 additional cutters that are available as optional extras. For anyone using the tool for the first time, the following example would be an ideal introduction. There are 3 washers that are fitted around the bearing in the centre of the wheel. This bearing is recessed down, and so 2 washers are fitted into the top of the cutter and 1 below. Once in place on the tool shaft, these are held in place by the Allen head bolt. After tightening the bolt down, the cutter wheel should still be free to rotate. In use, the principle is the same for all the wheels, but the 2 mm wheel removes far less material and so is faster to use. The spiral it produces is quite fine and delicate, so a fine-grained hardwood would be best. Please note that not all timber will be able to support a spiral this fine, so the general rule of thumb is that as the wood becomes softer, so the size of cutter wheel being used needs to increase. Let's set the cradle up so that the wheel is tilted to one side, but not by too large an amount to begin with. Whilst we are getting used to the tool, a less steep pitch, with the tool offset only by a half to 1 full graduation, will offer less resistance and cut more easily. Having turned the work down to round, reduce the lathe speed to around 500 rpm. This figure isn't set in stone, however, and 100 or 200 rpm either side of this will not stop the tool from working. Set the tool rest so that with the tool placed horizontally, the cutting wheel is resting just above centre line height, marked on this piece with a pencil line. The tool is used by raising the handle to allow the teeth of the wheel to contact the revolving work at centre line height. To begin cutting a spiral, the tool is placed onto the tool rest, ensuring that the full flat of the cradle rest is sitting on the tool rest. Cutting starts as the tips of the teeth contact the wood at centre height. Hold the tool steady in this one position so that we can create a reference groove or a starting point that we can locate the tool back into. Withdraw the tool and stop the lathe in order to check that we have a clean starting point. The tool can then be relocated back into this groove and the spiral extended. Lift the handle again until the cutting point is felt, and then move the tool steadily along the wood. Whilst with practice it's perfectly possible to do this in one smooth motion, if too much pressure is applied or the tool moved too quickly, the cutter wheel can be caused to jump out of the groove. Here is an alternate method of creating the first full spiral groove. Start the groove exactly the same as before. Now move the tool handle slightly to one side. Whilst holding the cutter wheel in the starter groove, swing the handle back to a central position, moving the wheel slightly further along the workpiece. By repeating this action a number of times, the groove is extended slowly but surely. This groove will not be to the full depth of the cutter, and it will be necessary to run the tool across the groove several times more until the full depth of the spiral is created. By angling the cutter wheel to the left and the right of the centre point, spirals can be created that slope in opposite directions. With a close-grained hardwood, they can even be superimposed one over the other.